So welcome everyone to Berkeley Engineering. First of all, congratulations to you all, because I'm assuming that, if you're in this session, that you're admitted to UC Berkeley, and ideally under the College of Engineering Undeclared major. If not, that's okay. You can still get a lot of information here, and we can try to answer a lot of questions that you might have later on. So, we'll go through some of the basics of Engineering Undeclared, introduction, things like that. And then ideally, I try to open up and let you guys ask me any questions you guys might have. And hopefully we get more of that correspondence that way, and we go from there. Again, welcome to Berkeley Engineering. Hopefully everyone's safe and healthy right now, and we'll get started. First, my name is Joey, Joey Wong. I'm an academic advisor here at Engineering Student Services at UC Berkeley with the College of Engineering. I've been an academic advisor for well over 10 years now, and I'm a Berkeley native. So I've graduated from Berkeley High and then graduated from Cal, and have stayed here ever since. So, if you ever have any need to ask me for any tips or suggestions or advice on where to go, where to eat, all that fun stuff, feel free to reach out and let me know, and I'll do my best to share. So don't be afraid to come in. My pup sometimes finds his way in for advising as well. So same as you guys, feel free to do so when you guys are available and when the campus is back open, hopefully in the fall. Right now, my life is revolving around my 3-year-old. She is definitely running around everywhere, all over the place, and it's a handful, but it's fun. And she's growing up in this, COVID pandemic, like we all are, and learning how to adapt and handling it with stride. And we have a new edition expected later this year, so that's exciting as well. So I'm sure I will have a lot of stories and updates to share if you do come join us in the fall semester. So Engineering Undeclared, a little bit about it, what I describe as the best non-major major, which means, as Engineering Undeclared, you have the opportunity to explore, to kind of test the waters and see which major in the College of Engineering is best for you. And, you don't have to commit until, after your second year, basically. Many students do declare before that, and that's okay. But if you're not sure, that's the whole point of being Engineering Undeclared, and for us to kind of go on this journey together and figure it out and find out what interests you might be want to explore, and go from there. Because obviously we don't expect all high school students to come in knowing what each engineering major is, right? It takes some time and some investigation to figure out what material science engineering is, or what civil engineering is or does. So, being Engineering Undeclared, you really get that opportunity to come to campus, talk to peers, talk to faculty, talk to, the different departments, and kind of really figure out, okay, what does it entail to be a electrical engineer, or what does it entail to be a bioengineering student or major, and then really kind of decide which path fits what you want to do and explore. So that's a little bit about the Engineering Undeclared major and why one would be in this major. And we'll go ahead and talk about some of the majors that you can declare as Engineering Undeclared. So in our college, we have a number of majors: bioengineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, computer science, energy engineering, engineering math and statistics, engineering physics, environmental engineering science, IUR, MSE, material science engineering, mechanical engineering, and nuclear engineering. So we have a wide variety of engineerings that you could choose from. I've started a poll. Let's see if this works. Go ahead to get an idea of kind of, who's kind of in the audience and what you might be thinking of. Hopefully you see that poll and you can click multiple ones if you want. So go ahead and take a look at that poll and just click on what looks, like it applies to you. Because you notice in the question, it asks, what major are you most interested in right now? And that right now is kind of important because we find that students, as they go through the summer, as they go through the first semester, it changes. Honestly, it changes, right? You could come in thinking you might want to major in one thing, and then during that first semester, you find out you might want to major in something else, um, and it changes. So multiple, if you're not sure, and we'll go from there. Okay, votes are still coming in, so I'll just give it a little bit more time. We'll go ahead and share this poll now. So let me share it, and as you can see, we have a wide range of majors that students are interested in. It looks like majority are interested in EECS, which is not surprising because that is our largest major. But it looks like there's still wide range of interests, which makes sense for engineering undeclared because if you're not sure, this is where you would be. So let's continue. A little bit about the logistics of declaration of major. As an engineering undeclared student, you can declare any major as early as the end of your first semester. There are certain criteria that have to be met. You have to be in good academic standing, which means you have to have a 2.0 overall GPA or higher. And you must declare by the end of your fourth semester, which is the end of your second year or sophomore year, which makes sense because by then you really should be looking towards some specific major upper division type courses going into your junior year. So kind of that sophomore year, the end of that second year is really the latest you should be going as undeclared, because once you get into some of the upper division coursework, it'll be difficult to get reserved seating or get into some of those upper division courses if you're not declared into that major. Before we continue, I know many of you probably have questions. If you can't find the chat function to send me a question, the best thing to do is send me an email and list out all your questions there, and we'll have time to go over some of those questions. I'm assuming you're by computer, so that makes it easier. My email is Joey Wong, JoeyWong at berkeley.edu. Again, that's JoeyWong at berkeley.edu, just my name. And feel free to send me some questions that you have right now. Just send them to me. Any questions you might have, and we can definitely go over and address any of these questions. All right.
Hi, Joey. This is Danielle from the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. I just
Hey,
wanted to let you know that while chat is turned off on this Zoom, if you wanted students to be able to raise their hand and you could actually call on them and they could unmute to ask questions, that's also an option.
sure. Yeah. Anyway, any way we can, any way we want to do it, any way you want to get questions to me, that'd be great. So raise hand, unmute, or send me an email, all that type of stuff. And we'll get to a section in the presentation at the end where I'll be able to address all those questions, all right? So, whoa, okay, raised hand already. So let's put those hands back down for now. But we'll get to the questions. The presentation is almost over, so no worries. Okay, so some of the majors and some of the sample kind of first semester course that you could be considering or thinking of. You know, depending on what major you're interested in, some of the first semester courses should be in kind of in the plan, whether that's bioengineering or civil engineering or whatnot. So, during the GBA process, which is the Golden Bear advising orientation, which is like online orientation we'll be doing over the summer if you do decide to commit. That online orientation will walk you through some of these steps, and if you select a certain major, we'll propose, I'll give you a suggested proposed schedule for your first semester, which kind of incorporates some of these courses depending on which major you select. And very interesting freshman decal that we suggest for you to look into is Engineering 98, Insider's Guide to Berkeley Engineering. A decal is kind of a course that's student-led, student-run, and you can definitely look online for more information about that. But the Engineering 98 decal specifically is led by junior and seniors in engineering, and they help you kind of figure out the ins and outs of the College of Engineering during that first semester. And it's one unit, pass not pass, and really meant to help guide you, to help ease you into the kind of College of Engineering kind of landscape here at Berkeley. So definitely something that we would be interested in promoting for you to take a look at, because not only are you able to meet current engineering students, but also talk to them about their majors and what they have done within their majors and so forth. A lot of different resources available. Engineering Student Services, our website, definitely a lot of the main policy information, program information is on there. We have a podcast that's available. That's the Not So Secret Guide to Being Berkeley Engineer. That's really well done. Our podcast has a range of topics and that it covers, from admissions to AP scores to all sorts of wide range, to change of major, to change of college, all sorts of stuff. So, and you don't have to, listen to all the episodes. You can pick and choose which one is relevant to you and kind of listen to that podcast and get the information that way. Classes.berkeley.edu gives you a catalog of courses, and of course, berkeleytime.com gives you some really good insight on some Berkeley class information like enrollment data and grade trend averages, things like that, and so forth. So that is kind of all the information we have to share for the session. And now I want to open it up to any questions that anyone might have, and we can try to address them all together. Yeah. So I'm gonna go in no particular order. I'll ask you to unmute, and then you can ask your question. Yeah. Hopefully this works.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Manuel. Yes, can hear you.
Okay. Hi, Joey. Thanks for presenting all this information. It's been really insightful. I was just wondering something about um, how or like what resources Berkeley offers for students who hope to finish an engineering major um, within 4 years. Because I know since Berkeley is such a large campus and the engineering curriculum tends to be very demanding, I'd
Mhm.
just like to know more about how the faculty at Berkeley can help students who hope to graduate within the least amount of time or with like the least amount of debts.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Um, oops, clicked on some quick things. Okay, thanks for the question. So it's actually probably surprising for everyone to know that the College of Engineering average time to degree is actually less than 4 years, because there are so many students. Oh, I wouldn't say so many, but there are many students who actually graduate under 4 years. So I hope that's a pleasant surprise to know that the average time degree for College of Engineering is less than 4 years. That being said, um, it depends on obviously the student, the major, and all sorts of other um, criterias and things like that, details. But um, you know, Berkeley itself prides itself in engineering to help guide students to graduate within that 4-year time frame, because um, one, that's really all that's allotted to a student to graduate is 4 years. There's no extra time or extra semesters that the College of Engineering gives students, unless for very, very specific circumstances or reasons. But unlike a lot of other colleges or universities or colleges, other colleges within Berkeley, even we don't really give more than 4 years. So that being said, in terms of resources, the thing about Berkeley is that the resources are tremendous, they're plentiful and abundant. Um, but it requires a certain level of proactiveness uh, on on part of the student, right? So there's pros and cons like that. Uh, Being on a big campus, obviously there are a lot of resources, a lot of things that are available to students. But being on a big campus, obviously, a drawback is that some of these resources or things aren't necessarily just advertised all around, right? So student really has to be proactive in kind of figuring out what resources work for them and how, and take advantage of these resources. For engineering specifically, we have CAEE, which is the Center of Academic Excellence in Engineering. It's on our website as well, is a center that helps guide students to um, uh, study groups and peer advising and all sorts of things, and resources like workshops and a lot of number of things. So those are some of the things to help with that question. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. That was very helpful.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that?
Yes, go ahead, Jaden.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could kind of share the rationale for that the engineering department gives for putting that 4-year limit. And then if someone is interested, if I'm interested in majoring, double majoring, or minoring in something, how hard is it to get an exception to that?
Sure. Thanks for the question. So if you're double majoring or doing a simultaneous degree, basically doing two majors, whether it's within the College of Engineering or a major with College of Engineering and a major within College of Letters and Science, you are allotted an extra semester. So there is a 9-semester kind of limit for double majors and students who are doing a simultaneous degree. So the answer to that first question, what's the rationale, reason behind that 4-year limit? I would say logistically, or quote unquote, from the institution's standpoint, obviously, the more students finish within that 4 years, the more students can come in every 4 years, right? So if more students take longer than 4 years, obviously less students we would be able to take in every cycle. So that's kind of that from the institution standpoint of the 4-year kind of limit. Okay, so next question.
Thank you again so much for doing this presentation.
No problem.
I actually had a question about like what are the benefits and downsides to declaring your major earlier versus later within your first 2 years?
Yeah.
Are there any benefits or downsides?
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for the question. And so what are some of the pros and what's some of the cons for being engineering undeclared or declaring earlier? So, being engineering undeclared is really if you're not sure or don't know what major you want to declare or know to do, right? So one of the pros of being engineering undeclared is that students in engineering undeclared have reserved seating for some of the lower division courses across all the engineering majors. So whether that's civil engineering, whether that's EECS, whether that's mechanical engineering, engineering undeclared have a number of reserved seats for these lower division introductory courses across the engineering college. So that's obviously a great perk if you're engineering undeclared and you're not sure and you're trying to explore mech-e and trying to explore civil. What are some of the downsides? That list of introductory courses is not large. So it's focused on some key lower division introductory courses across the major, but that's about it. So if you know what major you're going to declare after your first semester, the pros and benefits of declaring early are definitely there. You'll get reserve seating for all that specific major courses. So when you continue into your second, third, fourth semesters, you don't necessarily need to be concerned about getting into those lower division courses within that specific major. So I think that's one of the big pros of declaring early, as well as getting set up with that particular department in terms of mailing lists, in terms of faculty advising, and things like that. So I think the takeaway is, if you know what major you want to do, then you should declare your major. If you're if you're not sure what major you want to declare, then obviously engineering undeclared is the right spot. Hope that
Perfect.
answers this question. Follow up on that is that majority of engineering undeclared students will declare after the first year. So many even declare the first semester, after the first semester. So after the first semester is over, a number of engineering undeclared students will usually declare because they know what they want to declare. They know their major. Even before, even in the summer, they've looked at it and decided, and that's totally fine. But most will take that spring semester as well. So in our case, spring of 2022, to be in exploratory classes and to figure out what major they want to do. And then by the end of spring 2022, in the summer of 2022, they will likely, a majority of engineering undeclared probably would have declared by then, going into the sophomore year. Okay, Trisha, did you have a question?
Yeah, hi, thank you for the presentation so far. I have two questions. The first being, I've heard that it's hard to get into freshman year classes as an undeclared engineering major. Would you agree with that? And then second is, like how soon can we meet with you and how would we schedule a meeting?
Okay, thanks for the question, Trisha. So it it wouldn't be harder than any other first year student to get into courses. I'm not going to say it's easy to get into courses, but it certainly shouldn't be harder to get into classes than other engineering freshman students, if that makes sense. As far as how soon we can work together, most of the ESS office and the ESS advisors will say that ideally you go through the Golden Bear advising orientation part during June, because we find that a lot of these questions that new students have are usually addressed and answered already in the orientation, online orientation. So what you should do is, if you commit and decide that Berkeley is where you want to go, then that whole orientation process, online orientation process, will happen in June. And after that, online orientation part, you'll be able to schedule and make an appointment and meet with us one-on-one.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
I got a question from Gabriella asking about a declared civil engineering major. However, you internally right when you said you would be changing our minds as time goes. Although I've applied to civil engineering, how could I change to an undeclared major? So thank you, Gabriella, for sending me that email. So there is no way to change your major to engineering undeclared. If you have already been admitted to a specific major within the College of Engineering, there is a change of major process that you can explore. So, if you applied to civil engineering and you were admitted, but over the summer or over the first semester, you decide that, civil engineering might not be the right fit, then you really want to touch base and reach out to your ESS advisor sooner rather than later. In this case, it would be Catherine, because Catherine advises civil engineering students, and let her know that you might be having second thoughts and you might be wanting to explore some other major within the College of Engineering, because the sooner you do it, usually the easier, quote unquote, it will be for change of major. So with the change of major process, the idea is that the sooner a student does it, the less kind of criteria imposements are being put on the criteria to change majors, because as you progress further in semesters, your time on that back end gets shorter and shorter. So a change of major doesn't necessarily make as much sense, because that puts you further and further off track on your declared major. So, if you're ever thinking about, if civil or if bio or if EECS is the right major for you and you're already declared, the best thing to do is to talk to your ESS advisor and find out what options are able to explore.
Okay, thank you.
Nathan, did you have a question?
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much for this presentation. I was just going to ask, can engineering students also take courses from other colleges as well? For instance, business, or would that just be saved for like those program-specific things like MET?
Sure. Thanks for the question, Nathan. So the short answer is yes, you can definitely take courses that aren't specifically within the College of Engineering. Many students do that. So specifically for Haas for business, UGBA 10 is the introductory course to business and likely the course you first want to take. And that's open to all students across the colleges. So, and more specifically, if MET is something that you're interested in, or if MET is something you've applied to but didn't get into, but now are all still want to explore, the good news is that you can explore the business part. The simultaneous degree with a business degree is always an option. So you can always major something in engineering and also pursue the business major as a 2 degree. And that's always been available and available to every student. But if you're speaking about MET programs specifically, which is a program that is kind of specific for a subset of students who are doing a major both in College of Engineering and the business school, kind of a specific program oriented specifically for those. The good news is that it's opening up for application to continuing students. So when you go into your fall semester of sophomore year and you've taken UGBA 10 and you really kind of followed that business and engineering curriculum schedule and you really like it, there is a process for you to be able to apply into that MET program if you want to do so. They're still working out the logistics and kinks, and this coming fall will be I think the first cycle of continuing students applying into the MET program. So my guess is by the time we get to when you all would be applying, that they would have worked out a lot of details. So hope that helps.
Great, thank you so much.
Okay, Matthew, did you have a question?
Right. I was just wondering, since like we all got accepted into undeclared engineering, but then like if we know we want to go into EECS, would it be hard to like catch up since we can't necessarily do all the course immediately, or can we like try and gear our schedule and classes to be a bit closer to EECS so we have an easier transition after we declare at the end of our first semester?
Sure. Okay. So thanks for the question. It shouldn't be any harder to take a EECS schedule during your first semester as an engineering undeclared student. I often find a lot of engineering undeclared students' first semester schedules are practically the same as first semester EECS student schedules. There aren't any limitations or extra classes that you as an engineering undeclared would have to take that wouldn't be the case for EECS freshmen. So, coming in, if you know that EECS is what you want to do, then, during that online orientation, GBA orientation, you'll obviously be asked, which major you're interested in doing, and you select EECS, and then that proposed schedule will basically be the same proposed schedule as a EECS student, and you would go from there. In terms of getting into the lower division EECS courses, you shouldn't have too much of an issue as engineering undeclared students looking at either CS 61A or if you don't have any programming experience, courses like CS 10 or CSC 8 as possible options.
Thank you so much for answering my question and for the presentation.
No problem. Anyone else have any questions for the session? Feel free to let me know. Yes, Beatrice.
Hi, I'm wondering what kind of support are there for the engineering undeclared students for figuring out what engineering major they want to pursue? Is it just counseling with the student services counselors, or do you look for research opportunities and follow those, or are there specific programs that engineering undeclared students are can participate in that help them figure out what major they want to pursue?
Sure. Okay. Thanks for the question. So engineering undeclared are off there's a usual seminar that's kind of geared towards engineering undeclared students. It's called Engineering 92. It's a 1-unit freshman seminar, Engineering 92. And basically it's a seminar that is designed to hopefully help students kind of gauge and figure out what major they might want to do. So that structure of that seminar, E92, is that every week there'll be a different presentation from a different department that comes in. And it most likely will be a faculty of a specific department talking about, the type of research that's being done in the department, and obviously the opportunities and the career choices and all that type of stuff leading through that major department. So that's a great 1-unit seminar that you can explore and take in the fall semester, that you'll get exposure to pretty much every department within the College of Engineering. And students, usually find that helpful.
Thank you so much.
No problem. And, obviously, the question with how to best explore and figure out what major you're interested in, entails, a lot of exploration during that first year, whether it is with faculty or with departments, or whether it's with peers, other students, and other student groups. So, I'll find that a lot of engineering undeclared freshmen, they try to kind of explore multiple student groups to get a feel for, what certain major student groups, what it's like, how it's held, what type of topics and subjects they're interested and passionate about. And usually they'll find one or two that they'll gravitate towards and be super interested in. And usually that helps informs what major they might want to go towards. Ideally, by the first year, we would have tailored and narrowed our major choices to 2, maybe 3. That way, when we're structuring our first year course schedule, we'll be able to look for a lot of these overlapping or overlapping requirements that can satisfy course requirements for either of your major options. So that's nice as well, right? We're not saying that you need to pick one major, but ideally we start to narrow and focus that down slowly as we go through our first year. Any other questions that we have?
Yeah, one other question, if I may.
Sure.
How common or how difficult might it be to, you mentioned that many people graduate before 4 years. Do people do the dual bachelor's and master's degree in 4 years?
Sure. So thanks for the question. So there are definitely some students who does the, bachelor's degree and finish in 3 years, and pursue the master's 1-year master's program in their 4th year. That group of students is small, and mainly with the EECS department, because a couple factors. The EECS department's curriculum lends itself to being a little bit more flexible and easier to complete within 3 years. And the 5th year master program in EECS that students apply into, they would complete that in their 4th and final year. So yeah, it's possible, and some students do it, but it's not a lot of students. Most students who do a 5th year master's program are in their 5th year. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you so much.
Yes, Trisha has a question.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, I know that the classes tend to be bigger freshman year. So like, would you ever be in a scenario where if I'm wanting to declare EECS per se by the end of my first semester, would I be in a situation where I don't get into a CS 61A class? Or is that normally not a situation that arises?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so yeah, that's not a situation that normally arises. CS 61A in particular is a ginormous class, like bigger than pretty much any other class here at Berkeley. So, and they do a very, very good job at getting students who want to take the class into the class. And the way it's taught also lends itself to that mode of being easier to be large scale class. So, honestly, if you want to get into CS61A, usually you should be able to.
Okay, thank you.
Matthew, do you have a question?
When looking for like the ECS 5-year masters, when you can like join it, I think I recall there was not one for like for EECS and mechanical engineering. Is there a possibility like I can make my own to like combine it, or is it I can only use ones like preset by Berkeley to get that?
Sorry, say that one more time. Ask that question. What do you mean? You mean the joint programs? Are you talking about the joint majors?
The joint majors the joint majors. I don't recall there was one for mechie and mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, computer science. Is there a way I can like just get that, or is it just like separate double major?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks, Matthew. So there are a number of joint majors that the college has, and you're right. They're not all the combinations. For EECS and ME specifically, I don't think there is a joint major for that. So students who do pursue that are usually pursuing a double major within the 2 majors. And obviously I can tell you that it's a lot of classes. So so not many students do a double major between EECS and ME. But so the double major is possible, but it's a lot of work. But it's 2 majors, and the joint major is 1 major. All right. So the joint major programs are specific and special in the case that the 2 departments got together and kind of looked at what are the intersection and overlapping material that works together. So there are joint majors between BioE and MSE. There's joint majors between EECS and MSE, I believe. So the joint majors are very, very specifically tailored to one kind of intersection between the 2 major programs. So for example, in the EECS and MSE joint major, you're really focusing on more the EE part of it than the CS part of it. So that EE part of it that overlaps or connects with the material science part of it, that's kind of that focus of that joint major. So if you're ever interested in looking at a joint major, which you can, as Engineering Undeclared, declare a joint major, you can do that. You kind of have to be very, very sure and take a look at that joint major curriculum to make sure that that intersection between those two majors is really what you want to focus and delve into. Because if you're more interested in the CS side of EECS, then that EECS MSc joint major doesn't really make sense, because the focus is really more on the EE and the MSc overlap. Hope that helps answer your question. But so the short answer is no, you can't create your own joint major between EECS and ME.
Thank you.
But you can pursue a double major between EECS and ME. But more often or not, a minor comes into play, right? So if you want to major in EECS and minor in ME, you can. If you want to major in ME and minor in EECS, you can. So more often than that, that comes into the picture.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering my question.
No problem. Okay, any more questions? We're getting close to the end, and I want to point out that I think there is a freshman session that's being held right after this. So if you wanted to join that in the College of Engineering freshman session, I encourage you to do so if you have some burning questions that you haven't gotten a chance to ask me. So there, again, thank you all for joining this session, and I look forward to working with you in the future, in the summer, if you so decide to choose to come to Berkeley. No matter what your decision is, I'm sure it will be great and it will be the right one. So good luck to you all, and hopefully I'll see you in the fall semester. Okay, bye.